have things changed for Melania Trump after all the fame? Buckle in, here are some of the reasons why Melania's life was never the same after marrying Donald Trump. Before she was Melania Trump, she was Melania Naus, the Slovenian girlfriend of New York's real estate mogul and a model that desperately wanted to be on the cover of GQ. The publication noted that back in the day, before she married Donald, Melania did a profile photo shoot on Donald's airplane, wearing nothing but handcuffs and diamonds. So it's no surprise that Melania's life was never the same after she married Donald, because instead of appearing in magazines in her birthday suit, Melania graced the cover of Vogue in her wedding dress. Gone were the days of chrome props and handcuffs, as Melania traded life in the model fast lane for the life of a New York socialite. As the New York Times reported, Mrs. Trump then settled into a life that, were it not for her husband's presidential aspirations, might resemble that of any number of trophy spouses in New York, Palm Beach, and Paris, the three cities Mrs. Trump says she loves most. Melania also used her marriage to the mogul to boost her own business ventures and started 2 companies of her own, Melania Timepieces and Jewelry and Melania Caviar Complex C6, according to Entrepreneur. Before Melania married Donald, she was somewhat famous, but after she and the so-called self-made billionaire got hitched, her profile skyrocketed. As NBC News pointed out, she had appeared on a number of magazine covers as a model, but Melania's marriage solidified her spot on the media stage. When she and Donald got married in January of 2005, Melania stole the spotlight not only for her regal beauty, but also because the dynamic between her and her new husband was very telling. According to The New Yorker, the Donald was happy with his new bride and was described as uncharacteristically bashful on the big day. In that moment, it's as if Melania's fate was sealed, and her life would never be the same. Since becoming First Lady, Melania's life has continued to evolve. According to the Washington Post, she appeared on the cover of Vanity Fair Mexico in 2017, a decision that got some blowback given her husband's immigration policies. Everyone knows that the first family is protected by the Secret Service, but after Donald took office, Melania had to adjust to intense protection. According to the Washington Post, she and Donald had a bodyguard before their time in the White House, but the scale of protection drastically escalated. Secret Service members were always by the door, and Melania was worried at the amount of hate her husband had to contend with. Speaking about the drastic change, an insider revealed, "At the core, I think she's a private person who spent a lot of time adjusting to public life." Because of her marriage to Donald and his status as a president, Melania will continue to have protection even after Donald leaves office. According to ABC News, the Secret Service's Miami field office has started to look at physical reinforcements at Mar-a-Lago. Police also said that the Secret Service will scale back the, quote, law enforcement footprint around Trump Tower in Manhattan, as it will not serve as the Trump's primary residence. After Donald got elected, Melania made it known that she wasn't going to budge on a number of things. Specifically, she wouldn't leave Manhattan until her son Barron finished the school year, but because of her steadfastness, Melania's standing with Donald's friends began to change. According to the Washington Post, the first weeks of Donald's administration were marked by, quote, personnel clashes, embarrassing leaks, and a controversial travel ban that caused major protests at airports. Some said that the new president was unhinged during press conferences, and that chaos was imminent. Donald's friends began to lash out at Melania as they saw her choice to stay in New York as part of the problem. Donald's friend and chair of his inauguration reportedly said, "That woman, she will be the end of him. She is stubborn. She should be with her husband." Things got so desperate that Melania's standing with Donald's grown children began to change, as they allegedly started calling her and insisting she spend more time with their father. A presidential run seems to upend everything in life, and that was something that Melania was extremely aware of when Donald won the election in 2016. As the Washington Post pointed out, Melania was not thrilled about the changes that were set to take place in her life. According to an inside source, she told people to stop calling her First Lady after the election took place. Melania is reportedly a careful planner, and she wanted to take her time to do things the way she wanted to. As the Post reported, no matter how intense the pressure during the campaign, she refused to be hurried. Melania was used to press coverage before marrying Donald, but after the wedding, her personal and political choices were suddenly the subject of articles, and she often found herself navigating stories about scandal. For example, Melania had to answer questions about power and illegal speculations, like the expository reporting from the Daily Mail that accused her and her former modeling agent of running an escort service in the 90s. Thanks to her marriage to Donald, every aspect of Melania's past and present was fair game for reporters. The drastic changes in Melania's press coverage continued to be a sore spot for the Donald. In December 2020, he shared a tweet from Breitbart News that said, "The elitist snobs in the fashion press have kept the most elegant First Lady in American history off the covers of their magazines for 4 consecutive years." Before Donald's political career, Melania's life in New York seemed glamorous. Her residence was the gorgeous penthouse in Trump Tower, and she dined at Manhattan's finest restaurants. But after Donald won the White House, Trump Tower became ground zero for protests, which meant that security was seriously beefed up, according to The Guardian. There was even a no-fly zone put in place over the building. Gone were the days of Melania being able to step out onto Fifth Avenue. She was trapped inside by supporters, protesters, law enforcement, and the press. Despite the turmoil on her doorstep, Melania was determined to stay in New York so her son could finish school. But according to the Washington Post, remaining in Manhattan had a big price tag. Her presence created a huge problem for security and law enforcement, and the NYPD said it cost at least $125,000 a day to protect her. When Donald went from reality television star to president, Melania's influence over him began to shift. Instead of being asked questions about fashion, she was being asked about immigration policy, Donald's stances on the issues, and her influence on his decision-making. According to the Washington Post, former White House press secretary Sean Spicer explained, "Melania is very behind the scenes but unbelievably influential. She is not one to go in and say, hire this person, fire this person, but she lets the president know what she thinks, and he takes her views very seriously." The sentiment about Melania's influence was shared by New Jersey's former governor Chris Christie, who said, "She picks her spots when she wants to speak assertively, but when she does, the president listens." Melania renegotiated her prenuptial agreement with Donald during the presidential campaign, and she did so under the guise of taking care of Barron. The Post also noted that Donald has spoken highly about prenups and had called rich men who don't have one losers. Melania seemed to clue into the fact that not only has she been Donald's longest-lasting marriage, but that so much had changed since she originally signed her prenup. She felt that she played an important role in his success and therefore made sure to negotiate a, quote, more generous financial deal for her and Barron.
"I take care of myself and of our son."
She used the timing of the campaign and the move to D.C. as leverage, an element of power and control that her husband even wrote about in The Art of the Deal. He said, "Leverage is having something the other guy wants, or better yet, needs, or best of all, simply can't do without." Donald was actually once a registered Democrat, and other famous Democratic politicians used to run in the same circle as the Trumps. Believe it or not, Hillary and Bill Clinton attended Donald and Melania's wedding. According to PolitiFact, Hillary attended the ceremony and Bill showed up at the reception. One U.S. representative said in 2015, "Mr. Trump has a close friendship with Bill and Hillary Clinton. They were at his last wedding. He has contributed to the Clinton Foundation. He has contributed to Mrs. Clinton's Senate campaigns." All of this is very suspicious. Of course, since the Donald ran for president and eventually took office, things majorly changed. When it comes to rubbing shoulders with politicians, it's safe to assume that the Clintons aren't exactly fans of the Trumps anymore.
Making Donald Trump our commander-in-chief would be a historic mistake.
According to the BBC, Melania was once a small-town girl, the daughter of a car salesman and a designer. She traded in that life for one of modeling and glamour and made her way to the United States. But due in part to her association with her husband and the controversial nature of some of his policies, Melania's home country made their feelings about the native Slovenian known. According to the BBC, a statue of Melania in Slovenia was set on fire in July 2020. Apparently, many people didn't think the statue was all that cute to begin with. But the news still wasn't great for the First Lady. The statue was made by American artist Brad Downey and was set on fire on July 4th, the United States Independence Day. The statue was promptly removed, but the damage was already done. Finding out that your spouse is cheating on you is life-altering, and Melania had to deal with Donald's infidelity on the public stage. As noted by the Washington Post, the campaign brought Donald's, quote, alleged serial infidelities to light. Reportedly, Melania painfully found out about her husband's affairs along with the rest of the nation. One of the most high-profile affairs on Donald's part was with adult film star Stormy Daniels. The story dominated the headlines for weeks and was a situation that stung the First Lady. According to The Guardian, Melania was caught on tape calling Daniels a derogatory name and complaining that Daniels would be featured in Vogue. Having to deal with that kind of personal pain, all while it's being projected on the national scale, could not have been easy. It's easy to fall out of touch with friends when you move to another state or leave a job, but Melania suffered losses in her friendship circles in part due to her marriage to Donald. According to the New York Times, Melania's former close friend Stephanie Winston Wolkoff released a book called Melania and Me, a tell-all about the First Lady and the friendship the two women once shared. Wolkoff and Melania met in 2003 and became quite close, and Wolkoff even became an advisor in the White House. But the friendship between the two women changed in February 2018 when Wolkoff resigned after damaging reports about her involvement with the inauguration came to light. She wrote in her book, "Being with her was like having the sister I never had before, but a really confident, perfectly coiffed, ultimate older sister." But the tone shifted drastically. She went on to write, "Her selfishness is so deep, it enables her to keep her distance from the rest of the world."
There's nothing in the book that I can't back up. Not one word. And Donald and Melania know that.
Check out one of our newest videos right here. Plus, even more list videos about your favorite stuff are coming soon. Subscribe to our YouTube channel and hit the bell so you don't miss a single one.